Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
Welcome. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Neenah City Council for June 6, 2018. Welcome to everyone here. First item of business will be the roll call. The members will sign in on the roll call machine and answer the clerk when your name is called.
Alderman Boyette. Here. Bates.
Here.
Hillstrom.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Lang.
Here.
Steele.
Here.
Coons.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
All members are present. There is a quorum present. I'd like everyone to join with us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd ask our guest of honor, Chief Aaron Olson, to lead us in the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, you're off to a good start. You followed the directions just perfectly. Thanks, Chief. All right. Well, tonight is a really exciting night for not just us on the City Council, but I think the entire community as a whole. After 9 years of dedicated service by Chief Wilkinson and outstanding dedication during those 9 years, and really helping this city in so many ways protect and serve the citizens, we are really excited tonight about bringing in a new leader to this community and someone who has made an impact in a very short period of time that he's been here. And it's an exciting job. It's something that I think a lot of people in this community look to as a leader and a role model. People want to feel safe in this community. We are so lucky in this community to have the dedicated public servants that we have in police, fire, EMS. And so I think tonight will just be another addition to the legacy of police chiefs and wonderful leaders that we've had, people who are committed to this community and want to see us get better. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Aaron Olson and have Clerk Patty Sturm will do the swearing in for the police chief. And Chief, if you want to have the microphone and bring anyone up you'd like to come up with you, and Patty Stern will do the swearing in.
Raise your right hand. I, Aaron Olson,
I, Aaron Olson,
having been appointed police chief
have been appointed police chief
for the city of Neenah,
for the city of Neenah,
Winnebago County,
Winnebago County,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution
to support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States,
and the Constitution
the Constitution
of the state of Wisconsin,
of Wisconsin,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of a police chief
of police chief
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Pastor Jeff Pruitt, and they've asked me to bless the badge, and then Don will hand it. Right before I bless the badge, just a real quick prayer that I want to teach everybody. It's a prayer that I pray every time I hear a siren, no matter what kind of siren. I say a real quick prayer. Lord, be with those who are serving and be with those who are being served. Let's pray. Gracious God, you have called Captain Olson into this service as a public servant. We pray that you will help him and guide him, give him wisdom, give him the abilities that he needs to serve our community, to serve his fellow officers, to serve those that need the help that you would like them to have. So we know that in the Bible it talks about how you are the Lord, a compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. We pray this blessing over this servant who now receives this badge. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Real quick, I know you guys have a long night, so I am humbled to be standing before you today as Neenah's police chief. I would like to thank Pastor Jeff for blessing my badge. Thank you. I would like to thank the Neenah police commissioners for showing confidence in me and selecting me as Neenah's newest police chief. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you, Mr. Morton. I would like to thank retired police chief Kevin Wilkinson for handing over a great department and making my transition a smooth one. I would like to thank Brenda Matheson, up there, for making my job much easier every day. Brenda, you are not allowed to retire. It's my first act as chief. I would like to thank the Neenah Common Council and Mayor Coffert for being such great ambassadors for the city and for making sensible effort in making our police department better every day. I would like to thank all the department heads for all your support. You guys are great, and especially HR Director Heather Barber. You're great every day to the police department. Thank you. I would like to thank my many friends and family that are here, and most importantly, my wife Dawn and my boys. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. So come up. Come over here. And for a group who I respect immensely, all these police officers that are here today, I would like to thank all the men and the women of the Neenah Police Department for being some of the greatest professionals in law enforcement, both sworn and non-sworn. All of you come down here too. All the Neenah Police staff, please come down here. Led by Kathy with a walker. These men and women are the heartbeat of our organization, who are out in the community every day making a positive difference. And know this, to all the police officers, I will support you and promote an environment where your talents can be unleashed every day. Thank you guys for being guardians. As the 22nd Police Chief in Neenah PD's 145-year history, I will be setting our standards very high from every level of our organization. Because I understand that citizens of Neenah want to feel safe, which they absolutely deserve. We will relentlessly pursue excellence in our policing efforts, and our officers will be more visible than ever. Our goals and objectives, along with our newly formed neighborhood policing program, will be the center of all we do. We will commit to being authentic people, citizens, and law enforcement officers. We will take responsibility for all we do. We will be excellent communicators. We will embrace resilience. We will dedicate ourselves to this great calling. And we will keep the main thing, which is we will treat people with dignity and respect every day, every hour, every minute, and in every call, without exception. I am proud to be a Neenah police officer and honored to be your chief. Thank you.
All right. And once again, thank you to each and every one of the officers for what you do day in and day out for all of us. We're extremely grateful and thank you. And Chief, Godspeed. Stay safe. All the officers stay safe, and we look forward to working with you and make this community a better place. So good luck. Congratulations. To the Police Commission, I just want to say thank you, too, for your service. And you guys do a lot of good work, and we appreciate what you do, too, as commissioners. So once again, I think it's appropriate that with every changing of the guard, and going to have a new chief here, but I think the old chief gave us 9 great years. I'd like to give Chief Wilkinson a hand and thank you publicly. Chief, you must be a pretty good guy. You brought him in all the way from Toma. Very cool. Well, thanks for coming, gentlemen. Welcome. We'll try to get him out of here as quickly as possible, but he's showing great commitment right away by staying for the CIP. But thank you all very much, and we appreciate it. We also have someone tonight to introduce, and that's our new Assistant City Attorney. Jim, would you like to say a few words and introduce our new Assistant City Attorney?
Sure. Our new Assistant City Attorney is Adam Vandenheuvel, who's comes to us from the Milwaukee District Attorney's Office. He's a 2017 graduate of Marquette Law School, and glad to have him on board. He's very excited about the position, and he's already making a great contribution to the community, and he's ready to serve the city council and staff of the city. So thank you, Mayor.
Down there to
Police
do.
officers, you'll be getting to know him because he'll be prosecuting the cases.
That's
correct?
correct. He'll be prosecuting the cases, doing a bunch of the litigation for the city.
And with that being said, Eric Forsgren, publicly, I'd like to, he's got a couple months left.
Yes.
There's going to be a little bit of overlap between Eric and Adam, but Eric Forsgren has been prosecuting our cases for many, many years, and Eric's going to be leaving us in a couple months, but I publicly like to say thank you to Eric Forsgren for doing such a great job for us all these years and for prosecuting these cases. So with that, we will have Patty and Adam go down by the microphone, and we'll have a swearing in of our Assistant City Attorney.
We meet again. Raise your right hand. I, Adam Vandenheuvel,
I, Adam Vandenheuvel,
having been appointed
having been appointed
Assistant City Attorney
Assistant City Attorney
for the City of Neenah,
for the City of Neenah,
Winnebago County,
Winnebago County,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution
to support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Wisconsin,
of the State of Wisconsin,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of Assistant City Attorney
of Assistant City Attorney
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so while you folks all have cake and ice cream and that, we're going to stay here and work for a while, so. Hey, tell that guy we can keep him here if we want.
Age well.
Have a piece for us.
Thank you all for coming too. Appreciate it. Big night.
Very good.
All right, we'll get right into this so that we can get into CIP so the chief can greet his guests in a little bit. Item number 2 is introduction and confirmation of mayor's appointments. Mayor Crawford's reappointment of John Rather on the Board of Review for a 5-year term to expire May 2023. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Stevenson to reappoint John Rather to the Board of Review. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye, all opposed will vote no, using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Mayor Crawford's reappointment of David Rouse to the Sustainable Neenah Committee. This term will expire December 2020. Is there a motion? Oops. Okay.
So moved.
There's a motion by Alderman Coons, seconded
Second.
by Alderman Lundrum, to reappoint David Rouse to the Sustainable Neenah Committee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye, all opposed vote no on the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Thank you very much. There will be a couple more appointments next meeting. I don't believe either one is here, so we don't have to swear them in tonight. Approval of the council proceedings of May 16th regular session and committee of the whole minutes of May 15th and 16th, 2018. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Lundrum, to approve those council proceedings. Is there any comments, questions, discussions, corrections? Seeing none, all in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. That motion passes 9-0. Item number 4 is a public input session regarding discussion and consideration of public input and other matters relating to the 2018-2022 Capital Improvements Program budget, including potential amendments to the 2018 Capital Improvements Program budget. So this is an opportunity for citizens, if they'd like to speak on anything regarding the capital improvement budget that we're going to be discussing tonight, to do so at this time. We welcome your comments and your input. If you want to speak at any other general area or any other specific topic, we ask that you wait till item number 6, which is the public forum, which is coming up shortly. With that, I will open up the public input session for any discussion on the Capital Improvements Program budget. We ask that you just state your name and address for the record and come up to the microphone. Welcome, Judy.
Judy Zaretsky, 1129 South Park Avenue. I am wearing 2 hats tonight. My first hat is Director Kading asked me to be here tonight because he was not going to be able to be here and give some comments on the Washington Park and Arrowhead Park. His comments are, I highly recommend completing Phase 3 and 4 of Washington Park in 2019. Save money by mobilizing just once, rather than 2019 Phase 3 and 2021 Phase 4. I highly recommend moving back Phase 1 of Arrowhead Park to 2020, as I have already met with the representative from SEH and Stanek. The design team will adjust the design schedule accordingly to continue work on grant applications and alternative fundings, and would like to hold 2 or 3 workshops with the council and the commission, and on 3 specific aspects of Phase 1, the access, aquatics, and activity. And I think Alderman Hillstrom will be speaking a little bit more on that a little later. That's my first hat. The second hat is I am a citizen of this great city of Neenah, and I want the people that are sitting next to Mayor Coffert and Director Kaiser, because I don't know that anyone has ever come up against this microphone and asked for have sidewalks put on their front yard. So that is my concern tonight. I have been in this house since 1942. I mean, I've been in there for 42 years, and not since 1942. I was just a little girl then. Anyways, I've been there for 42 years when the street was going in, and I have raised my children, and I have raised 4 of my grandchildren. And as you're driving down, we're riding down our bikes down to the park. It's very dangerous, and so I have always said, as soon as you get to Cecil Street, you need to get on the sidewalk. That was a rule. So as of tonight, I'm asking if you would not please, or if you would just please keep in 2020 sidewalks on South Park. I know they were taken out, and I'm just asking that you leave them in for 2020, as the neighborhood has really changed. We've got a lot of little children around between Peckham and Cecil Street, and I just asked that they would stay in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Comment? Anyone else like to address anything capital improvements? Okay. Seeing no one else, I will close the public input session, and we will go to the Committee of the Whole report pertaining to the public input session. Committee of the Whole meeting of May 15, 2018. Alderman Stevenson.
The Committee of the Whole met, as the Mayor indicated, May 15th, and there was a list of recommendations that had been identified by the City Council in the Committee of the Whole setting. And those anticipated or announced potential recommendations were communicated via the minutes from that meeting, and there was no direct action taken by the Committee of the Whole as an outcome of that meeting, just the anticipated motions that the committee had identified.
Thank you very much for your report. I do want to, and I asked Director Kading if this would be all right, I do want to inform Council why Director Kading is not here. I think it's important because someone might wonder why the department head with a lot of money in the capital improvements plan isn't here tonight. But I did give him kind of opportunity, excused absence, I call it, because he's 7 p.m. getting married. So I thought that was an allowable excuse.
That's a cheap trick, not getting the council.
Some guys will go to great lengths to get out of a meeting.
I had such a great gift ready for him.
But yeah, he is getting married tonight, and so we wish him well, and that's exciting for him. And he cringed when he found out it was going to be June 6th, and he kind of came into my office sheepishly and said, "Mayor, I'd like to be excused from the meeting." I went, "Mike, you can't," and he's, "Well, I think I have a pretty good excuse." So he is getting married, and that's why Judy's here as president of the commission, along with Ted Gallery, to answer any questions in that with regards to Park and Rec. And we also have Park and Rec representatives on the council, so I think it's okay. But I asked him today if it was okay to tell you that, and he said yes. So, because some people were probably wondering. So we will move then to any possible, I guess we could go to. First. So is there a motion regarding the 2018-2022 capital improvements program? Alderman Stevenson moves.
I'll move to recommend approval of the 2018-2022 capital improvement plans as presented by the mayor.
Second.
And that's seconded by Alderman Bates. Won't take a lot of time. I will just say, a lot of time and effort has went into this document. Council had a pretty extensive workshop. This is a 5-year plan. This is not set in stone. This is trying to chart a path for the future. There will be, I'm suggesting, some changes along with council members. I've been in discussions with some folks, but this is not in concrete. It's not things will change, as we know. Projects will be pushed back, moved forward in the upcoming years, but we need to have a blueprint that kind of charts the path for us of what we're going to do in the future. A lot of time and effort has went into this. I have tried to level out the peaks and valleys from year to year to have a more stable environment for borrowing, and many times that's a challenge. There is going to be some suggestions tonight that I believe will make this document better. 2018 has already been borrowed for in that. 2019 we will once again take up when we take up the entire budget in November. So that will give us another kick at the cat, so to speak, to make any additional changes. But if there's something in here that you want to highlight and you want to, put in a different year in that, I'm open to that. But everyone here knows that things could change in November. And so I appreciate the comments thus far and the ways to make changes that I do believe is going to, be beneficial. But things do change at the drop of a hat sometimes. But I think it's good to have this plan out there that everyone is leaning towards and knows then when their street's going to be done, when this project's going to be done, for the general area of that. I'm not going to get into the details of this. You all read my letter. There's a city newsletter just came out recently, just in the last week or so. A lot of people read that, evidently. My portion message from the mayor was a little bit long because it said, resumed on page 3 and resumed on page 5 and resumed on page 6. So I'm going to try and narrow that down. But there was a lot of information. There was a lot of good information with regards to the CIP and the direction that this council is headed in. And so a lot of people made good comments that they think we're on the right path for the future. And I appreciate your indulgence and the time and effort that you put into it at the workshop. And I'm open to listening to the suggestions to make it better. Okay, with that being said, I would go to Alderman Bates. No? Okay. There is, I know there's some discussion about Washington Park. Would you like to go first, Alderman Hillstrom?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Department Head Kading had brought up this at the CIP, and I would just like to make it into an amendment this evening to the budget, and that is to amend the 2019 CIP to move $3 million in expenditures funding and $1.8 million in revenue funding from Arrowhead Park from 2019 to 2020. There's 3 parts to what I'm going to do, so this is the first part. So we need to go through all of them. So I would like to make that motion.
We'll want to take them separately, correct?
Yes.
You'd like to make
we'll
that?
have to vote on them separately, but they need to all go in.
Would you like to make that as a motion?
Yes, please.
Alderman Hillstrom moves.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Do you want to talk about that one?
Sure. I think Arrowhead Park is very important to the future of this city, and there's some great development opportunities we're already seeing out there and many more to come, and it's going to be worth many millions of dollars to the city to get this park developed. And but putting it back a year is not going to affect that. I've talked to Director Hayes about that, and the progress that's going on with the Loop the Lake and everything will keep us going. So to make 1 year difference isn't going to make change, and it'll give us also more chance to get grant money for this.
All right. Thank you very much. Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. I understand Director Kading's desire to move this back, and I would reluctantly support that, understanding the details in here, and the fact that what's in the budget is a reduced number, which I don't think would have been effective in moving Arrowhead Park forward appropriately. Although at the same time, I think it's personally, the need to move on the momentum that's happened there is important. That we don't have a loop that is just a loop that happens to go through a little itty bitty section of Neenah, but is a loop that draws people to our downtown. I think we're on the path. I think there's a lot of great things going on here. I think if we move forward with the development that's been laid out, and I think that would, to me, we'd finally have a park. We fix the access, we do parking, and have some building in there, and do something with the waterfront. We have a park. After that, I think the rest happens organically as need comes up. As people say, hey, we really want to have this, and we want to help fund some money to do this, those things will come up. But with the pieces originally proposed, I think it's enough to call it a park, and at that point, we have a park, and we're done to the extent that until other needs, other wishes come along, and money along with it comes along. So I really want to see it move forward. I understand where we're at, and so again, I would reluctantly support this. I just wanted to state that. So thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Boyette.
Thank you. I just want to say I agree with part of this motion because I do agree with deferring the money for Arrowhead for the exact same reasons. But I do not agree with moving forward on Washington Park with that amount of money because I still have some issues that are unresolved with that park, and I don't feel we should be rushing into dumping a bunch of money into it when there are still things that aren't fixed. Thank you.
All right. I would just add that I've had discussions with Director Kading. One of the things that I was mostly concerned about with the movement of this possibility was the loss of grants, or that we'd lose a year of eligibility, things like that. He has assured me that the grants, we would still be able to apply for those grants and be able to utilize them in the year that we did the actual construction. He's spoken with all these folks, and you can apply for the grants that year and use them in 2020. So I think that's a positive step. Just lastly, as I look forward to this project, this is going to be a wonderful addition to this community. There's so many opportunities. You know, we have a lot of pieces of the jigsaw puzzle for this property that some of them are still unknown. We have got a great public-private partnership possibility. We have, the City Activity Center, the opportunity for the water usage as lakefront usage, as Chris points out. And we're going to do it right, and it's not necessarily important to do it quick. So I'd prefer to take our time, see how the pieces of the puzzle come in. The one area of concern that I have by waiting, and I think some aldermen have brought that up to me, is having some bathroom facilities out there. Director Katie and I are exploring some porta potties or temporary bathroom facilities along with a wash station to be utilized during the summer, and we think that would be good for one summer. So we're hoping that we can get by with that for 1 year. So I just wanted to throw that in before you voted. Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. I actually I'm happy to see this amendment because in the past month or so we've gotten more information about what might be going on there, what could go on, and I think we're still feeling our way through it. We have no information on a lot of this stuff, so I would prefer moving it out. And just as an aside, I would be happy to see Washington Park get done sooner rather than later.
All right. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Any other discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of Alderman Hillstrom's motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 8-1. Alderman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. Second part of this three-part change is to move the Washington Park, both parts of that construction, up to 2019. There's been, it hasn't worked out well with having to do construction on different park areas at the same time. And with moving back Arrowhead Park, we can finish off Washington Park. We can save money by doing it at the same time, as Director Kading had mentioned, and then we're finished with Washington Park. So I'd like to make a motion, move up the construction of Washington Park. It would be scheduled right now, $675,000 for 2019, so move up to $490,000 that you had moved to 2021, and move that up to 2019. I'd like to make that into a motion.
Alderman Hillstrom moves.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Any further discussion? Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I've always been concerned about developing this park. This is a huge amount of money, and priorities to me are not in what I would call a neighborhood park. A lot of people would argue with me that it's a regional park. One of my main worries is the splash pad. The impact on the neighborhood I am concerned about. I think that they are extremely popular. I've gone to a couple of them, being the one probably closest to Appleton like this, instead of having to travel to Sherwood. I'm worried about the impact on Winneconne Avenue, which is already extremely busy. I'm worried about summers and kids crossing Winneconne to get to the park, leaving the park, across Winneconne. And when we add a splash pad, I have no idea. We have no idea what those numbers are going to be for parents driving through there and for kids coming on bikes. So I've always been against that, and I will continue to be against that, and that's part of this. So I won't be voting for this amendment. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't going to say anything, but putting the splash pad in. If we're afraid that it's going to be so great, people are going to love it so much that we shouldn't put it in, I'm not sure I get that. I think it will be great. I think moving the construction up, the last thing I think we want to do is put the splash pad in and then try to come back and do construction, because I think it will be popular. I think it will be a lot of people there, and that's the last time you want to start trying to do construction in that. I think it'll be extremely popular. That's why it's on Winneconne, which already can handle that traffic. That's why there's a street light at the corner, all those different pieces in there. I think this will be a fabulous piece, which was really in the making, 5 years ago when we started doing the study for this thing, which the council approved, and that put this thing into motion. It's tough to redo a park because it's expensive. But communities that are growing and moving forward will redo their parks when they need it. Otherwise, we've seen cities, and you can see the ones that are in decline because you go look at their parks, and their parks are in decline because they just can't spend the money, or they don't want to, or don't see the need. And it's cities that have those gorgeous parks, and not just a gorgeous park that's been redone, but a gorgeous park that has a new feature that doesn't exist in Neenah and barely exists in the entire Fox Cities. There's a few of them. So with this meeting splash pad. So I think there's some great things that are happening here, and I support this amendment.
Alderman Boyette.
Thank you. Can I ask some questions? Have the drainage issues at the park been fixed?
The answer is they're still working on that with the. Come on down to the microphone. Come on down to the microphone so the people at home can hear you.
Sorry.
I can hear myself. said, oh, in my head. As Director Kading has explained to you before, whenever you have new excavation and then settling and planting, you aren't going to have a perfect site. And they've started to carefully add in, because the last thing you want is to add in too much soil, because then you'll call pooling somewhere else. So even if you're using laser siting, you're still going to have some settling. And until the foliage has fully propagated, the foliage helps absorb that water. When it's just dirt, you're going to have slight pooling. The way I look at it, because we've done a lot of excavation around our factory, and I unfortunately had to replace my whole lawn last year after a project. Sure. When you don't have grass, you're going to have pooling or irregular draining. And I think by this fall, and it looks like we've got a good summer for grass propagation, you're going to see an excellent site. And the other advantage is it's already much higher than the old rink, which was almost down to the water table, and that's why it was always wet.
What about the parking lot?
We're also looking at the parking lot.
Yes, thank you.
What about the parking lot?
There's some pooling on a couple areas of the parking lot that Director Kading has a contractor.
Okay, so Mike's on top of this, and we laid first coat of asphalt today, and again, these are difficult things to do. The contractors give a guarantee, and Director Kading will keep on working with them, so that's mitigated. But it's hard to have a perfect blacktop. There's always going to be some parts a little higher, some lower, and that's what they're trying to correct.
Thank you. No, and I understand that. I'm just concerned that we're going to be rushing into this and moving this forward and spending a lot more money when the money we've already spent already has issues, and we're still trying to work through those issues. I'd hate to spend the money and continue to push this through. I think keeping it on schedule is more my appeal, and that's why I will be voting no on this.
All right, thank you very much. One of the reasons that Director Kading, he stated to me, the consultant and the engineers believe we're going to actually save money from the budget by moving it up, number one, because we put in an escalator for wages, and things go up a couple of years from now. But more importantly, doing things in 1 year versus staging it out in 2 or 3 years, he believes will actually save money in the combination of the two bids, or hopefully. So we'll see. Alderman Hillstrom?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a comment about Winneconne being a busy street. It definitely is. So it makes it easy to get to that park. And our other major parks, Memorial Park's on Tuller Road, which is another extremely busy street. Southview Park is on Bell Street, another extremely busy street. So there's, children going to these parks, hundreds of them, thousands of them, and it's really no different in Winneconne.
All right, thank you. Just one other comment. The Neenah Menasha Fire local firefighters are very interested, and they are going to, their hope is to actually raise a good portion of the splash pad money, or a portion of the splash pad money, and have a fire department themed splash pad is what they're talking about. They're going to bring that forward to the Park and Rec Commission, and that you have like a fire truck and hoses and things like that, splashing the water, aiming the water, and that. And so that would be extremely, if it works out, it's got to go through the Park Commission, but they are interested in it. They have some samples of other areas of the nation where they have these, and the kids love it. So every kid wants to be a fireman at some point in their life. So we'll see. All right, anyone else? Is that it? Kathy? Alderman Boyett?
So when will that take place? Because if we're going to push this up, then we're dealing with more money.
They brought it forward to me. So.
It's a great idea. I welcome it. It doesn't, again, this is another reason why I would not want to push this forward 2 years and just finish it all now.
They told me they could handle it. If it was moved up, they could handle it. So there'll be discussions with Park and Rec Commission, I'm guessing. All right, all in favor of Alderman Hillstrom's motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 7 ayes, 2 noes. Ordered. Alderman Hillstrom, you have one
more,
Okay.
Mayor.
Go ahead.
With the savings we have from delaying Arrowhead a year and then doing Washington Park, we have savings of approximately $725,000. I'd like to use a part of that to purchase the complete fleet of police vehicles, which is on page 75 in our CIP budget. So that would take out an extra $172,600 out of that $725,000. I'd like to make that into a motion.
Alderman Hillstrom would like to reverse the actions of the mayor and purchase all the squad cars in 1 year. Is that correct?
Correct.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Stevenson. I'm okay with this based upon the savings in that. That was just, and that's why the reason we did this in order was that there was some savings garnered so we could do this. I will tell you that I've also had discussions, and I'll be meeting with the chief the next few days to talk about a lot of things, but we have to figure out a way where we can stagger these vehicles. No reason why we can't figure out a way to do this, that we have 3 vehicles every 2 years, put a little less pressure on us. 3 of those vehicles get a lot of mileage instead of having 6 or 5 or 6 vehicles all come due with a lot of mileage at the same time. So I'm hoping, and I know I've got early indications that we can figure out a way to get this done so that we can stagger future purchases. And I believe in discussions with Alderman Hillstrom, he concurs with that hope. And so we're hopefully going to get that done. Alderman Lundrum?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call the Chief Olson up to talk about his rationale about purchasing all these together.
They're unfortunately not going to last another 2 or 3 years. If we are able to purchase these now, our goal is to, in the future, stagger the vehicles. But we have to come up with a plan, the officers, that they have to only use 2 or 3 of them or 4 a day instead of all of them, so that they can, at least half of them can last longer, so we can start staggering them. We've never done it that way. I'm not going to stand here and guarantee that's going to happen, because if we have some that are broken down for a long time and then they have more mileage, one has more mileage than the other, or they become equal, we can't predict that. But our goal is ultimately to stagger the vehicles. But right now we need to get the full fleet, because they're not going to last the way they are right now.
The problem is right now they all have too many hours on and too many miles to probably do it. Edgar sent us that memo, and it's probably correct. So, and the repair costs in the next 3 years would outdo keeping them, in opinion.
Correct.
Can you also describe for people watching at home and in the audience what type of punishment your cars take compared to another type of service vehicle?
Well, they're typically running 24 hours a day, or they're always operated by an officer. They may be not on all the time, but they're always being used. So if you have Appleton PD, for instance, they have take-home squad cars. So that officer uses them 40 hours a week, and we're using them 24 hours a day. So their squad cars last a lot longer than ours do. We're not on the highway. Street operations, it's much more, it's harsh on the vehicle. But we have a small fleet of vehicles, and they're always being used. So they don't last as long.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Like the Chief just mentioned, there is another way to buy less squad cars, less often, and that's to do what a lot of departments do, and that's the take-home squad cars. Huge capital outlay at the beginning, but you don't buy squad cars. So I've asked the chief, talk to me about it, to at least explore that idea for the future before we, at least look at it and bring something. That's it for another day. Alderman Steele.
Yes. So this is my concern also, is it seems like we're just postponing this problem of having to replace a whole fleet at a time. I'm just wondering how, if all of the cars are being used all of the time, how you're going to keep less miles, less work on certain vehicles so that they would last longer. I'm not quite understanding how.
Right now, the officers kind of have their cars that they use, like their favorites, I guess you would say. So they're always being used, almost all the squad cars, evenly. So we're going to basically dictate which cars are going to be left alone as much as possible, and the other half will be used the majority of the time. So half the fleet will be told you don't use these unless you absolutely have to. The other half you use as much as possible.
At times, Alderman, we only have 3 cars, 3 or 4.
Okay.
So, right?
Right, and I mean,
time.
and this is the plan. Whether it works, I can't guarantee that because, like I said, if with the plan, the cars that we're using every day break down, then they have to use the other cars. So I'm not guaranteeing it. That's just our plan.
Thank you. Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess my comments are on the same vein, but 2 things I don't get. First of all, we're not using cars all the time. Half of them are, usually most nights, you have 3 cars going and the rest nobody's using. It's my understanding. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, we're not using them all the time. But if we wanted to start moving to a staggered, putting them all together makes that more difficult. I mean, it would make it easier to stagger them now by 1 year, makes it easier to stagger them by 2 or 3 years the next time we purchase because they're already pre-staggered. We slowly get there. So I don't have any heartburn over this one. But the idea that we have to spend all the money because somehow we have to spend it all isn't true either. We just can spend less, which is fine. I guess one question to you: if we didn't put them together, does that cause big problems for the police department doing their job?
They're breaking down consistently. So a lot of times, if you look, we have a board in the police department which vehicles are being used and which ones are at the garage, and it's more and more every day that a lot of them are at the garage. So there's only a few to pick from. There's been days where, like, we have 2 admin vehicles for the 2 captains and the chief, and they're being used by officers because they're just breaking down so much.
So your main concern is just these are getting
right. They were supposed to be turned in last year, and we decided to see if we can go another year, and it turned out that these SUVs were just like any other squad car. They only last the amount of time we typically would have them, unfortunately.
Thank you.
So what possibly may happen is we may purchase all these squad cars, and then in 2 years from now, essentially look at trading in half the fleet, and that way we'll start to get us on that rotation schedule.
Correct.
Okay. By doing it in 2 years instead of 4, our trade-in values will be higher, things like that.
Captain Gonzalez is in charge of this, and he'll have to come up with some kind of spreadsheet and system and monitor it more closely than what we do.
Okay. Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to sum up what everybody just said, but for my own edification, the mayor's idea, I think, of extending the life of the vehicles is a great idea. What this change does is allows the department some time to implement it.
All right. Well, thank you. Anyone else? If not, all in favor of Alderman Hillstrom's motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. Buying 6 squad cars. That motion passes 9-0. Thank you. Alderman Hillstrom, you're done for right now?
Yes, thank you.
There's 2 things. The chief,
go.
If someone has any further amendment that would take the police department or would like to ask the chief or explore anything else, now would be the time, because I'd like to be able to release the chief to go to his party. So if we have something police related, I think, let's do it. We do have in the workshop, we had the one request from the police department to actually take the mobile, the ball out. What was it called, Chief?
The mobile ball camera system.
mobile ball camera
For
system
2019 in the amount of $18,000.
that they've decided they don't need that in 2019?
That's correct, and you can also take out the tactical robot as well.
Oh.
Chief, what year is that?
It went from, I'm not even sure,
We can
but
take
it's
that
in the
out in the
CIP.
fall too. I
Right.
mean, we can take it out in the fall if you'd like, but the mobile ball was something we talked about.
Correct.
Okay. So if someone would like to make a motion to take out the mobile tactical ball, I think that would be appropriate at this time.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Bates moves to take out the mobile tactical ball.
$18,000, page 75.
Okay. That's seconded by Alderman Boyette. Is there any discussion on that motion? Alderman Coons? Oh, okay. All right, all in all in favor of the motion to take out the mobile tactical ball in 2019 at this time, will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Is there any other police-related items that anyone would like to discuss? Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had an overall piece that involved the police and fire. It was just really a comment, and that was simply looking at the budget. I understand this is a difficult document to put together. I appreciate the work that goes into it and all the work that happens. And my feeling is it is a plan. There's certain items that I don't feel that I'm not really supportive of, but I'm also don't feel that it makes sense to try to pull those out. Things change. But at least having missed a portion of the workshop, I at least wanted to express where I was at. So I think that communication is good to have. And that there's two items in here that I'm not, at least at this point, supportive of. One is the addition to the police department, particularly the fact that it's a separate campus. And expanding a separate campus, to me, has issues. Having a separate firing range has issues. I'm thinking maybe it's good for departments to come together with other departments and being forced to actually be around other officers from different departments instead of being in their own little silo, in their own little range. So those are that's my issue. I'm not trying to take it out of the budget. Things will happen. We'll see what happens with that. But I wanted to at least voice those concerns. For me, this comes up later on. I most likely wouldn't vote for it. But I feel strongly in the concept of the document and the plan. At the same time, I have the same issues with the fire station 31, trying to make a smaller one when we also have our clinic and we've created a training center because we had the space. Try to to replicate that. I know there's a cost savings from an efficiency standpoint, but it's a payback of like 60 years. We could put solar panels on buildings and get a payback in 15 years. To me, it's an item that I don't support those items. Again, time will come. We'll talk about these things, and maybe I'll change my mind. But again, my only point was I wanted to communicate those issues that I had. I support the document, but that was my feelings. I just want to let you know what they were.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
If anyone wants to come down to the police department and I can show you, so you can get a real good visual on why we want to do it to create more space for future use, it'd probably make a little bit more sense.
Thank you. And I will just add that these departments, since I've been here, I've asked them to be bold. I've asked them to be visionary. I've not said no to their requests in out years as far as looking at it. As you get closer to those out years, we make a decision whether it's going to become reality or not. And I just want to remind you that I think this is, they should have the opportunity to try and show us as the elected officials why this or that is necessary. And at some point, the governing body gets to make the decision if it happens. So there's stakeholders at this time in the out years, and I think at some point we'll make the decision whether or not those go forward or not. So, and the mayor himself, him or her who's in these future out years seats, may decide to take them out before the council gets the opportunity. So, okay. Council President Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. The subject of the tactical robot came up. Chief indicated there was some potential change with that. I'm assuming that's in out year 2020 on page 78, which with a department request of 50,000, and then the budget amount was 25. What's the story with that?
I'm of the opinion we don't need that.
I move to delete the 25,000 of the budget of 2020.
The reason is we have these new little drones for $300 to do the exact same thing almost, and or we can use the sheriff's department drone or robot. So I don't feel it's necessary for tax dollars to go towards this.
Okay. Alderman Stevenson
Second.
moves, seconded by Alderman Stevenson moved, seconded by Alderman Lundrum. Todd is just trying to help you get to your party.
He looks like he's starving.
And, he looks hungry. Any comments or discussion? Thanks for the explanation. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0 to delete that item. Not that it has to be this way, but is there any other items related to the police department? Hey, Chief, have a good time. Thank you. Congratulations. Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. There are a couple of items that department heads that indicated that we could remove from the budget. The first one was from the library, and I would make a motion to remove $10,000 for a microfilm machine replacement in year 2022.
Can we start saying page numbers?
That was all part of our, excuse me a moment.
Page 40.
67 I have.
Page 67. This is something that came up at the workshops, and the library board themselves, director said could do this. Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Bates to delete that item. Is there any discussion? Alderman Bates. Okay. See no discussion. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0. Alderman Stevenson.
Reporting out from the information systems budget deliberation or discussion. Move. I guess I need to make sure I get it. On page 74, the Director Weninger recommended removing $15,000 from 2019 to fund a UPS replacement at the redundant data center, and I would so move.
Alderman Stevenson moves,
Second.
seconded by
I'll give Boyette.
Alderman Boyette. There you go. Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette. Kathy, you want to push the button? Thank you. There we go. To take out the UPS replacement at the redundant center, data center, $15,000. Any discussion on that item? All in favor of that will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. That motion passes 9-0.
Also from the information services budget, I move to recommend decreasing and eliminating the carry forward at a time attendance solution budget line from 2012 from amount, not deleting it, but remove $1,361 down to $2,000. That's on page 64.
Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette. This is regarding a carry forward that's no longer needed. Is there any other discussion? And just so the people are watching, there may not be any discussion now because it all happened in the workshop. That's what the workshops are for. They spend a lot of time discussing these things in the workshop and making some preliminary discussions and getting their questions. Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor of that motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
We got one more.
Go ahead.
From the Community Development Department, Director Hayes recommended we remove the inspection assessor's vehicle. And if I can see the page on that. Page 67, I believe. So I would move to recommend we remove $18,500 from the year 2021 for an inspection assessor's vehicle.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, to remove the inspection assessor 2021. Okay. That's moved by Alderman Stevenson, seconded by Alderman Lundrum. Any discussion on that item? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
And that concludes my recommendations for right now.
I believe that Director Easker, is that taken care of? Ones that were brought up in the workshop session? With regards, there's still one.
It is taking care of all of those that would be decreases to the budget, but
Okay.
there are a couple of increases that are still pending.
Okay. Alderman.
Well, it's not, that's still out there.
We're talking specifically about those identified by department heads.
Yeah.
Department heads,
Yep,
okay.
Yep. That's what I meant. Technicals and the changes that they asked for themselves. With that, we'll go to Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move to approve or adding funding of $48,000 for the Badger Books election software in 2019. Several of us are election workers, and that would be a very time saver as well as accuracy saver, so I would so move.
Alderman Bates moves.
Second.
By Alderman Lundrum to add $48,000 to the 2019 budget for the clerk's office to purchase, it's called Badger Books, correct?
And it's approved by the state. The state is what's recommending it.
That's for the polling place workers to do this electronically and versus the poll book. That's going to be a requirement.
Quite a bit down the road, but eventually it'll be required.
Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, just for the general public who may be watching and have an interest, when you go to vote, you see these big, thick IBM printouts of all these books would have all the elected people's name in it. The purchase of these will eliminate having to print those, carry those, sign those, and the cost savings is less than probably 2 years.
And other than that, just the staff time after the election, after a big general election in November, it takes our staff 8 weeks plus to clean up after an election. That'll be deleted down to maybe 1 or 2 weeks. The staff time itself would get paid for in no time at all.
Okay, Alderman Bates?
Yes, and I would encourage the city clerk to keep an eye on the state to see if they would ever say, yeah, we're going to fund some of that because we know it's going to be required.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any other further discussion, questions? If not, all in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Other motions? Are there any other motions? Alderman Lundrum?
Yes. Be nice if this was in order here. Okay, my proposed amendment was to decrease funding for Lakeshore Avenue in 2020 and 21 as follows. 2020, the streets would be a $50,000 decrease. That was just for engineering, not just for engineering, but that was for engineering. 2021, 240,000 decrease for streets. The pedestrian route or trail, as we like to call it, would be 185,000. The sanitary sewer would be done at the same time, so that would be $150,000 decrease. Stormwater would be done at the same time, a $60,000 decrease. Water would be done at the same time for a $381,200 decrease. For a total in 2021 of $1,016,200. And I would so move. And the reason I am proposing this is that it seems to be spurred on by a desire for a trail. This is a very expensive endeavor, as I just enumerated, and all, in my opinion, just for a trail. The underground utilities is when I questioned Public Works Director about that. We're not old enough. I couldn't rationalize that cost. Granted, I think you called them historic water mains down there, but then I clarified, and we have a lot of historic underground water mains, and this just, in my opinion, is not a necessary expense. So I would so move.
Alderman Boyette moves.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lundrum moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette to take out all the appropriate line items for Lakeshore Drive, correct?
Avenue.
Lakeshore Avenue, sorry. That includes sanitary sewer and all that. So all those items as she pointed out. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Alderman Boyette?
Is there any plans in the future that we're aware of to make this into a trail and officially, because I know there's talk about rumors, sidewalks, redoing the road, et cetera, and so forth. I'm just wondering where we're at with that.
Director Kaiser.
Well, we're nowhere with it because we don't have a project out there. The proposal some time ago was to redo the road and construct a trail alongside the road. That is what the budget numbers are based on and the associated utility work that we would want to take care of at the time of that construction.
So by pulling that out now, that would further push that back entirely, actually, because Alderman Lundrum, you're wanting to totally take it out, correct? So you don't want to push it back, you want to take it out?
Well,
It pushes it back to the point that the council is willing to have a project out there.
Right.
Thank you.
This has been pushed back for some time by previous mayors and by this mayor. Has been pushed back. I just think it's getting to the point where it's sooner or later we got to do something. And my wife's a runner, a lot of walkers, and we can get into the minutia of politics of the area and what trails or no trails, sidewalk or no trails. That's why I left it in for 2021 to give us some time, keep it on the radar as a potential. But at some point, that is going to have to be done. We can push it back out as we get closer to 2021 if we feel the underground utilities are still okay. But I elected to keep it in 2021. All in favor? Alderman Boyette.
I just want to follow up on that. So and again, we've had a lot of traffic over the last year with the game and the park in itself that leads down that path or road has seen significant traffic. So I get it. I get that it's in some need. However, I have to sympathize with the people that live there also that have specifically, brought it to my attention and asked that we don't do anything, without, of course, them being included, but simply they're not interested in having this move forward anytime soon either. So I will be supporting this.
Well, I'm willing to bet if you asked anyone on any street that had their road construction planned, they would tell you not to do it. Any street in the city would, if you lived on that street, you would say, I'd prefer not to have my road done. Alderman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. This project's been discussed so many numerous times over 11 years I've been on the council, and we've pushed it back and pushed it back and pushed it back. And, we depend on our department heads to tell us when to do things as aldermen. We go on their expertise. They go by utilities. They go by street condition. There's parts of this street that rank a 1 on a scale of, 1 to 5 at the most. It's just falling apart. We use this street as a street to show prospective people that want to move here, that want to do a business here. People have events here, and it's falling apart in places. It's embarrassing. And we just need to go ahead and keep this street on the schedule. Get it going. There's no curbs on it. We've had people complain that live on the street even that don't want curbs, that then say the wall going to the lake is washed away, and it's because there's no curbs in the street and there's no storm sewers. So, they go against what they want on the street. And whether a trail goes in or not, that gets decided later. But the street's embarrassing. We need to do that, and so, I support keeping it in.
Alderman Lundrum?
Thank you, Mayor. If anyone is curious about our street and water rating, it's all categorized here, very, very clear on priorities. And I would like to ask, I guess rhetorically, the residents of Neenah, which street is worse than that one? There is a little section by Wheeler Street that I think it's probably because of the trees overhang and it stays wet that is crumbling. But for the most part, it's certainly better than a lot of your streets. And so I would argue that this is not a priority. This is a desire to get a trail in there. And also, the next time you walk down Lakeshore Avenue, I think most of the aesthetics of it is it feels historic because it does look like you're almost on an old-fashioned road. Now, if you go into Riverside Park, where the curb and gutter has been installed, there's a completely different feel. So that is what you would get if we redid that road, is you would have curb and gutter, not that kind of old-fashioned road along the lake. So I just want everyone to be aware that go into Riverside Park, look at the curb and gutter, and then picture curb and gutter back out on Lakeshore Avenue. And if anyone wants to see priorities of our streets and our underground utilities, they're all ranked by priority. So you just have to call Public Works and they'll go over it with you or get you a copy or call any one of your aldermen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any further comments? Alderman Lundrum has moved, seconded by Alderman Boyette, to remove Lakeshore Boulevard from the 2021
Avenue. Lakeshore Avenue.
Lakeshore Avenue from the 2021 CIP.
Unless this action makes it the boulevard.
Yeah, that's all we need.
Did I say boulevard? All right, I'm sorry. But to remove that from the 2021 CIP at this time. All in favor of that motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion does not pass with 2 ayes, 7 noes. Alderman Lindrum, you have anything else? Did you say you had 2 items or not?
I did.
Thoughts? Maybe
I don't think
okay.
so.
All right, that's fine. I'm sorry. Anyone else have any items? I have a couple items that we missed that have been brought to my attention and I'm written down here. Director Easker, these are 2 items that were technical corrections that were wrong in the book, and they were brought to our attention by Director Kaiser.
I got them. These are the sanitary sewers on Bodie Avenue.
Go ahead.
I will move to recommend we adjust or amend the budget to increase funding for sanitary sewer on Doty Avenue in 2021 by the amount of $350,000. So that would increase the 2021 budget by $350,000. I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Stevenson, seconded by Alderman Bates. As I understand it, Director Kaiser, these were streets that were in, and we didn't transfer this line item into that year.
The utility work with the road work.
Utility work that's associated with. Thank you. Anyone have any discussions? Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Bates. All in favor of that motion, make that correction. In addition, please vote aye. All opposed, vote no. That motion passes 9-0. Alderman Stevenson.
And my second motion would be to increase funding for stormwater on Doty Avenue in the year 2021 by $302,400. That would so move.
Alderman Stevenson moves,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Bates.
2021?
Here that
right.
Proposed to be done. These were just things that were not carried over into. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor vote aye. All opposed vote no. Using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Is there any other motions for discussion on the 2018 and 2022 CIP? Capital. Okay. Then I would the vote, the next, I will call for the vote to be taken on the main motion with the amendments that have been added. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the capital improvements program for 2018 and 2022 will vote aye.
As amended.
As amended, will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. That motion passes 9-0. Department heads and staff, thank you very much for your assistance in putting this document together. A lot of hard work went into this, and we know, like I mentioned earlier, some things could change, but this is a good planning document for you. And I appreciate the vision that you had, and you're willing to take some risks and do what's best for the community. So thank you. And council members, I think we all did a good job on this, and knowing that in November we get to do this again for 2019 and solidify some of the decisions that we're making tonight. So thank you all for your help on this. And Director Easker too. Director Easker and his staff worked very hard on this document as always. All right. Okay, so we will, that takes care of the CIP, and we will move on to the public forum, which I presume some people have been waiting for. I will open the public. Before I open the public forum, I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to be announcing tomorrow, in conjunction with Director Kading and with future Neenah, that the route of the cut and run on June 23rd, we are the applicants. The city of Neenah is the applicants for the cut and run. The route, there was some changes made to it because of the timing and when the committee took it up in February or May. We didn't know if the Menasha segment was going to be along the lake or not, but we made a decision in committee and in council, and we made the decision to go down West Wisconsin Avenue to the We Energies property, assuming that that would be done. It does appear now.
West North Water.
West North Water Street, not Wisconsin. I'm having trouble with streets tonight. West North Water Street. Because the Menasha portion behind the sewage plant along the water is expected to be done, we clearly want to utilize that section. So after discussions with Director Kading and James Merton and that, I'm going to send out a memo. We are going to, the route is going to be from the north end of our bridge down River Street to Abbey, turn left on Abbey to the We Energies property, then go behind the sewage plant for this cut and run. I want to make that announcement. I'll be sending that out tomorrow. That will be the route unless someone has some objections. But there wasn't time to send this to committee in that because it is on the 23rd. So with that being said, we talked about that project. These are public streets. That is going to be the designated route for that particular event come June 23rd. I wanted to bring that up. Maybe save us a few moments of time. Okay. I will now open the public forum. Alderman Lundgren, go ahead.
Really quick. Were the residents on River and half of Abbey, the Neenah half of Abbey, notified about this run?
They will be.
Thank you.
That section of the walkway is still the official, designated as the official route. But yes, they will be notified as any special event is notified, okay? I will open a public forum and invite anyone from the community to come up and address the council. Yes, so you just state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Dwight Kerr, and I live on 434 High Street. I have sent each of you a copy, as I have done. I'll just hit some of the high points. I recently walked the two routes that are proposed for the trail, and I used a commonly used device called the surveyor's wheel to measure them. I walked the center lines of River Street, Abbey Street, and West North Water Street. I started at the center point of the intersection on West North Water Street and River Street. The distance from there to the intersection of River Street and Abbey Street is 1,175 feet. I then measured up Abbey to Lawson. This distance was 216 feet. I then went back to the point where Abbey and River met and proceeded down Abbey to where the Menasha Trail intersects Abbey and West North Water Street. This distance was 514 feet. I then proceeded to walk Water Street back to my point of origin. That distance was 1,267 feet. The difference between the two proposed routes is 422 feet at its greatest. If I deducted 216 feet from the original route, going Abbey to Lawson, we're talking a difference of 298 feet. 422 feet is a distance of a little over 2% of the trail, total trail, if the trail is 5K. For that little bit, we're exposing both the residents of West North Water Street and any users of the proposed alternate trail to much greater hazards. Cook Park also borders both routes. However, all the playground equipment on Water Street side of the park, all the playground equipment is on the Water Street side of the park. This park has anywhere from 25 to 50 preschool-aged children using this portion of the park on a daily basis all year long, if the temperature is warm enough. One of the action items in our Neenah 2040 plan is to increase the pedestrian and non-motorized traffic to the downtown area. With the trail as it is now routed, we effectively allow all 350,000 annual users to bypass the downtown area. I question how many users will make the detour to go downtown. If we change nothing and let the trail go let the alternate trail go as a trial and review it in 3 months, 5 months, or 6 months, we will be no further ahead than we are today, unless we have measurable criteria so I can make an informed decision. If that criteria are established and is verifiable, we could make an informed decision. I also respectfully ask that that criteria be shared with the public, not the least of which would be the residents of Northwest Water Street. I also ask that you review the public forum and emails sent to the council by the residents of West North Water Street and their concerns and support in a choice of routes for the Trestle Trail. In reviewing the minutes of previous common council and committee meetings, which residents have attended and spoke at, I see no evidence of the actual correspondence, etc. I can speak for myself and say that a lot of time, effort, and research has gone into presenting data to enable an objective decision to be made on this issue, and I am disappointed to see it is not included in the public record. I would like to request that a written and verbal correspondence be included in that public record. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Other members of the community would like to address the council. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Dave Richter, co-owner of Green's Poorhouse with Bobby Green, whom you probably know, at 134 West Wisconsin. The issue we wish to bring up tonight is the current bus stop on Church Street, which is located just outside of our side entrance to our establishment. What we're asking for is we have two primary concerns. One is we have probably 25 of the bus users today, including the drivers, using our bathroom facilities, both when we're open and not open per day. So this is putting some hardship on us just to police. The primary concern is in the mornings before the establishment is open, folks are able to get in and out of that door because the delivery drivers are coming and going. So that's one of our concerns, and we've had some incidents where folks are actually showering in the bathroom area. So just policing that has been difficult and a hardship for us. The other concern is we are planning to paint and make that a focal point of the downtown area, that entire wall that you see on Church Street. And the exhaust from the buses right there, I know we'll discolor that in a pretty short period after we spend time to restore that wall, which is in some disrepair right now. So part of that is happening tomorrow. So we're just asking that you consider potentially moving that particular stop from the location that it's in now. I understand the need to have, and we like the service that the bus service provides. In fact, for 2 years, Bobby has been bringing the buffet after it's done at lunch out to them as the extra food is left. So we enjoy having them there. We just want to figure out a way to make it work. So across the street on Church Street and 1 block south, there is an open parking lot. I know there would be some expense to moving the structure that is there for them to wait for the bus for. So we'd be open to talking about how that would be paid for if it was to be moved. That was basically what we wanted to bring. Thank you.
Thank you. Who is the guy with you? We might have something to say at the end here, guys, if you'd like to stay a few moments. Can we have your name one more time? The clerk didn't get it. Name and address.
Dave Richter is my name. We did have a police report last week on the person that was shot. I mean, this has been ongoing, but we finally got enough of it last week when we did have to have a police officer come.
All right. After the public forum is done, the council can comment. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council on any topic? Ed, welcome.
Ted Galloway, 744 South Park. Not speaking as a park commissioner, but as a citizen, I appreciate you moving Washington forward and delaying Arrowhead. I think we're going to be better prepared for a more dynamic plan for Arrowhead in that space of time, and not having to deploy contractors twice, I think will be a real savings for the city. And any of you who've had the opportunity to travel up and down Winneconne Avenue, and I do every day, either leaving the city on business or going out there to get my groceries, the use of that basketball court and the diversity that you see, which is the real Neenah, is pretty exciting because I've seen women teams on there, men's teams, young kids, families. There are families actually coming from the other side of the city, and I've stopped and congratulated the people for using this, and I've talked to families who come from other parts of the city just because their kids want to play on that court. So that's I think really a dynamic addition to the city. I also, before the meeting today, walked parts of the new Loop the Lake. I think this truly is going to be an attraction, and I think we are going to see people diverting into the city because that's only a block. And as I've had the opportunity to travel the world, whenever you have a great trail system next to other attractions like downtown Neenah, there are going to be people who maybe go downtown and have a beer at Green's or have an ice cream cone or whatever. The other thing is to clarify and give some factual information. The reason the curbing is like it is at Riverside, and Lee knows this from that long time plan when we narrowed the road, which was criticized by some, and the whole reason we narrowed the road through the park was to slow down traffic. The reason we put the chicane in the entrance was to slow down traffic, and we even had the fire department verify they could get in there. And the reason it has a raised curb, the only reason, was to keep people off the park, because the tendency before, previously, was they were just parking on the grass because they could, and very few people are going to encounter a standard curb for that. So I don't know what Jerry has planned for Lakeshore, but I'm sure it's going to be accommodating for whatever it is. But the only reason there's a raised curb in Riverside was to keep traffic off the grass. Thank you much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else have any comments? Yes, sir.
My name is Craig Lynn, resident 446 West North Water Street. I guess, Mayor, I would like to start by thanking you for taking me off bullet point number 1, which was to discuss the inaugural, I guess, run or ribbon cutting ceremony with that event going down Water Street. I guess my concern was the precedent that it might set. Again, you've addressed that, and I sincerely do appreciate that. Moving forward, I know there was discussion about postponing any movement for a proposed route change for 6 months, and there'd be a review and things of that nature. So I don't want to lose sight of that. So today I was looking, I drove by the trestle trailhead there, the new point there on Water Street. I did notice that when you come off the trail, if you come off the trail and you went straight off the trail, you would go straight down River Street. But the way that thing is designed right now, when I look at it, is it comes off and it bends left, it goes to the sidewalk and it stops. And if you were to continue going straight, you run into somebody's house across the street. We're over here on the east end, I guess it would be, I'm not sure, is where the parking would be. And it seems a little backwards, I guess. I'm not sure if the people who are building that got the memo that your approved route is downriver and not Water Street. 'Cause right now it looks like it's kind of leaning one way. So I just wanted to see if in fact the people who are doing the construction there were aware that the official route does go down river. And also did just want to talk briefly about signage. I know there was some discussion about having signs and routes and maps and things of that nature so people wouldn't get lost if they came down into our community. If you come off that trestle trail and you hang a left, and if you went down Water Street, it is physically impossible to get lost. So if you go down Water Street, you're going to end up running into the plant. If you hang a right up High Street, you end up at the trail. If you go to Edna or Abbey, you end up at the trail. So instead of having all this marking and maps and whatnot, if you just had arrows or anything, small signs, crossing signs, anything like that, or something you can hang on poles that pointed an arrow to the trail versus all the maps. You can't get lost. The only way you get lost is if you went down the approved trail with river and hung a right anywhere off that, then you're off the trail system. But to come down Water Street, I think it's unnecessary to have signs and spending money on brochures and maps. If you could simply hang a stick that points trail that way, and they're one block and they're back on the trail. So, thank you for your time.
All right, thanks for coming. Anyone else like to address the council? Any further? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. After the public hearing, we have mayor council consideration of any public forum issues. Is there any council member? The first thing I'd like to just address is with regards to Greens and the public bus stations. There is, as I understand it, there is public bathrooms available behind future Neenah. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes.
So that's what the answer I always get with regards to public bathrooms, but I fully understand your concerns. I guess the only, Alderman Bates, would you be open to putting the whole idea of the bus depot and this issue and the possibility of moving it on a future agenda down the road?
I have no trouble with that, but I want to make sure that we contact the busing system because I don't know how much control we have over
Well,
that.
if we're going to have a discussion, we'd probably bring them in.
Carol Casmore
Alderman
and
Stevenson, is that
from the city, yes.
is that okay?
Yep.
So I think if that's okay, we will, I mean, someone can make a motion and refer this item to, so someone can make a motion if they'd like, or we just understand that the chairman's going to bring it forward. Is that okay? So this will be put on a future, not saying right away, but sometime in the future here, a future agenda for public works services. We'll try and contact the impacted parties, the bus station, and you as neighbors and that, and have you come down and talk to us about this, okay? All right, so that's that. I'll say a couple other things, but Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to clarify on what resident Dwight Kerr was talking about. You had a lot of numbers thrown in there. So that stemmed from, he was nice enough to meet me down at the sewerage plant on last Friday night. And we were kind of going around and round about the length, because when I was standing at the sewerage plant at the new path that's going to be going behind it, and looking up to Abbey and looking back on West North Water, I was sort of, tussling with him saying, yeah, but you're sort of doubling back. And he said, would you like me to pull out my football field measuring thing that, I don't know what those are called. And I said, yes, if you would measure that out, that would be great. So the difference between going river to Abbey and then I called it doubling back to the sewerage plant path, the new one, versus coming all the way down West North Water to the sewerage path. And it was something just a little over 400 feet. So you were right. I was wrong. I thought it was way more than that. So I appreciate you taking out your, whatever that's called. Yeah, that. And measuring that out for us. So thank you.
All right, Alderman Coons.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess a comment and a point to make. This issue has not come to council. Right now it's held up in committee, which has decided to put it in a waiting period for 6 months. So the decisions right now are of that committee and not of the council. I want to make that point clear. And because personally, I would probably look at a different direction in that I don't care what route you take, I think it has to be marked extremely clearly as part of a loop. We're calling it Loop the Lake. And right now, River Street, without really proper marking, I don't care if you put a map somewhere, people are going to get lost. They're going to turn here, they're going to turn there. I've gone through that several times back there, and I always get lost. I have a tendency to get lost with directions, so it's a tough one. You come to a lot of T's, you come to a lot of spots, you try to figure out where you're going to go. A loop is as strong as its weakest link. I mean, it's just one of those things. I've seen it so many times with trails, great trails, and then they just lose it in one block because, of, I don't know, unwillingness to do things. I understand people living on North Water Street. If I lived there, I'd be here doing the same thing they're doing. I completely understand that. At some point, we need to make a decision, and we need to be clear about the decision, and we need to think about the $10 million investment in this loop and our willingness to see it through one way or another. So I get it. Maybe a waiting time is good to see what happens. I will tell you from just one council member, if it comes to a vote and people want to do all kinds of activities and I want to have a walk, a run, or whatever else there, and I run 5K and 10K, I'm a runner as well, but to me, I would vote down personally, I'm one person of 9, I would vote down the usage of this loop. I want it to be, the whole idea is it's meant for everyone to use. If we start closing it down for special events, you need to close the whole thing down, and that's not how I see it being used. Again, I'm just one person. I'm hoping it's not a big use for events, because it's not like other places. It's a unique place that people are going to go. And people come here, they drive in from out of the region to use it, and there's an event going on. And they go, oh, well, I wish I would have known about that. They just closed the whole thing. So I see that being very problematic. But I think we need to designate a route. I would paint it right on the road if I had to. I've driven the green circle in Stevens Point, 26 miles. Portions of it go through communities. Green line gone through there. Really nice communities. It's a great use, but I think it's brought value to the communities. I don't want to sell it to anybody. Time will show that. I have one question, and that is at the end, and it really comes to the city attorney, and I have no problem with designating a different route, but I would question whether the mayor has the ability to change what a committee has approved, which is, I think, in a route that's already been approved through the committee, through events. I just, procedurally, again, I understand why it is. I probably would support what it is. I just procedurally, if that works.
The ordinances provide an authority for the mayor to issue licenses in certain circumstances. This implies the ability to amend it in a situation where it can't be brought to council in a timely fashion because of the timing.
That's fine. I can understand the route change. I have no issue with it. I just wanted to make sure we weren't running into issues. Thank you.
Alderman Boyette.
I have a concern about Mr. Kerr's statement that he made that he has brought documents to committee meetings and they have not been added to the public record. And I'm just wondering if that is in fact true, and if it is, why is that?
These are the documents that were distributed to all the committee members of the council.
Yeah, they were distributed to the council members. When I received them, we add them to the packet for the agenda for the meeting. I should probably discuss with City Attorney Godleski if that's the appropriate place to put it, or if they need to be scanned and included with the minutes.
Do they become
all the memos and letter, not all of them, but if a constituent requests that something be given to the committee, it's put in the packet, correct?
That's correct. If a citizen sends a general email to council members that isn't brought in as part of the record of the meeting, that does not get included in the packet.
So the question is, does that, because it was put in the packet, does that need to be part of the
public?
It becomes part of the public record as part of the agenda.
Whether or not it should be in the minutes, should it be in the minutes, Jim?
I think the minutes reflect the fact that was submitted.
They reflect that it was distributed. Yes,
right.
they do.
Yeah, but it is in the
But does it not say or show what it was? It just says that they presented something.
Correspondence presented from citizens summarizes it.
So how would a normal citizen that wasn't at that meeting get that document or copy of that part of the public record?
It's posted as part of the agenda packet online.
So it would be included. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to ask. Okay, thank you.
They all have access to the agenda, correct?
Well, it's included in our hard copy of the agenda that we keep on record here. It's not scanned into the agenda system. No. So I guess that's a question for Jim and Patty as to the proper repository for that.
The list of letters that came from the clerk's office, record of that there. The agenda, as far as included as part of the agenda, that would be just getting them part of the agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think in the
Easy
future
enough.
we should probably scan them, put them part of the package.
Okay. Okay. Easily done.
Okay, we'll do that. So thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you.
The only reason I asked is I had presented a lot of data, and when I went to look and see if I'd already included something, I had no way to find it.
Sure. No, we appreciate it. We'll do better. Alderman.
Yeah, just a comment about what that issue. I would tread lightly there. I mean, we have committee meetings. I might say, but I think it's some fabulous things. They're not all detailed out in there. It's a summary of that piece. Our minutes aren't meant to be, here's exactly what happened. If you want to know what happened, go to the meeting. But if we try to include every item and everything that everyone says, we already spend, I think, an exorbitant amount of time with department heads taking notes in our minutes. And I just read the 8-page minutes from the Public Works last meeting. 8 pages. At some point, it becomes a difficulty just to get through that much information to get to the essence of it. So we put too much stuff in here. It's going to be no one's going to read it anymore. So I think we need to find a balance. And I get where people are coming from. They want their comments. We all want our comments there. I wish that great thing I said was in there, but sometimes it isn't.
Jerry?
I appreciate your making the effort to read this.
Jerry's with you. I'm sorry, Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to assure Mr. Kerr that oftentimes you email all of us with that information. Once it goes on the email system, it is backed up, and that is public record. It's not as easy to find as if you wanted to check to see if you had carboned everyone on it. But anyone in the future, when they request public records, that's another search they can do. So when people say, is it part of public record, it is backed up that way. And since you do send it to us in emails, that is a good way to do it. But I agree that to make it even clearer that this could be done. And when you do send it out, if it's something that you want to make sure that's in, when you make a statement in the meeting, bring that up, because sometimes people just send an email saying, I support this, or, good job with that, and we would not include that all in. But
the biggest reason I do it is because I'm only allowed 5 minutes. I try and cut it down as much as I can, and that's why I asked.
Great, thank you.
Alderman Boyette, did you have some additional comments? I think I maybe.
No, I was just looking for the legality on our process of how we include the documents, and if we include them, we need to make things as transparent and as legal as possible for our citizens to obtain the documents, and if we're not doing that, we need to. That's all. Thank you.
The attorney said we're okay how we do it, and we can improve the process by scanning. If someone requests that it be part of the public record, we'll put it scan it and put it in the Public Works Committee's agenda. Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to get some clarification on your first comment in response to the public forum as it relates to the Loop the Lake ribbon cutting street closure request. My understanding is that the Loop the Lake designated route had initially been designated by the council as utilizing River Street and Abbey up to Menasha. A separate action, the council approved a special event street closure permit that recognized the majority of Loop the Lake as it's designated, but deviated from the route when it got to West North Water and utilized West North Water to Abbey through the electric company. Your memo confirmed the action. I'm assuming, this is my question, assuming your action confirmed, your memo confirmed the action of the council took to approve the special use permit or the street closure permit. Is that correct?
Memo that I did previously.
That you started this discussion that when you started in response to this, in anticipation of the public forum, you indicated you sent someone a memo.
That I'm going to send.
You're going to send a memo to council reconfirming the action we took to designate North Water. So the council took that action, and your memo is not in an attempt to override the council action. It's to confirm council action. Right? So what's it going to do?
Going to change the route that was in the street use permit from West Wisconsin Avenue.
West North Water.
West Water. I did that twice earlier today. West North Water Street to Abbey.
To River to Abbey.
Going to change the route to come off the bridge, go down River to Abbey to the We Energies.
Okay. So hence Alderperson Kuntz's question regarding to the city attorney regarding the ability to do that has been answered based on his response.
Based upon there's not enough time to take it back.
Yeah. Okay, very good. I just want to make sure I'm clear about
it. Under that reason, executive is.
Yep. I just want. Okay. Now, I didn't understand, so I maybe somebody else might.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's why. I mean, my preference would have been, to take it back to committee, but the next council meeting is scheduled. We're going to talk about it tonight, June 27th, which is after the event. So I just decided to take the action. I think that's everything. I do just want to say I did walk the route today. I walked West North Water Street. I put on a hat and dark glasses and walked the route, but so the neighbors wouldn't notice me. But I did walk the route. I did walk the new section in Menasha and just spent some time down there myself. And I noticed James Merton has traffic counters out on West North Water Street. He has some traffic counters. Talk about baselines, trying to get some baselines. And he also has traffic counters out on River Street to try and get some baselines there. So I think it is important to get some baselines, see what kind of traffic counts we get now, and then see what kind of traffic counts we get 2-3 months from now. So I do want to tell you that I think James did a good thing by doing that. Okay? So, Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to that is, as we were going out there, driving through to the sewage plant, I noticed the 8-foot fencing going up. So one of the concerns of the neighbors were people getting behind there and getting through. So that fencing is already going up to divert people out the proper way. So we are listening and things are going up. And the other thing is a lot of things have been planned and you don't see them up yet, but some of the landscaping and things like that are still in the plans and don't think we forgot about it. It's just
that's a good point because there was something brought up about people deviating from the trail. There is brand new fencing up, which is not going to allow people to get off that trail. Basically, we're going to have to go out in the water to go around. So, okay. Anyways, enough said. Alderman Erickson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to comment to the residents on West North Water Street. I live on Bill Miller Trail. Part of my property and sidewalks are on Bill Miller Trail on Craft Street. And Bill Miller Trail on the south side of town is a very used, very popular trail. And some of your concerns about trash and dogs, that just doesn't happen in for me. And I think that the people that use the trail are very respectful. They're very conscientious about when they go to an area where there is a driveway, and my driveway does back up onto what would connect into the trail. I, as a resident, have to be conscious that I'm looking both ways, that people aren't coming and that they're jogging and they're riding their bikes. But they're also very respectful, knowing that they are coming by driveways. So we work together on that. I'm extra careful because I know that could happen. But as far as littering and leaving behind dog droppings, I don't find that happening. And they're not damaging my property in any way. So I like to think that it's a good thing to have the trail in my neighborhood. A lot of people use it, and it's really popular, and I think it's good for the kids in our neighborhood, and I think it's good for our residents. I just wanted to comment that it will get used, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a negative.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Under Mayor, Council, Consideration, Public Forum Issues, Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you. Just one more thing. On paper, when we have these long-term plans, they look great. And what I'd like to do is just remind the council, and I know they already know this, but because we've lived it so many times, when we make some of these decisions, whether it's sidewalks, whether it's splash pads, whether it's Loop the Lake, Lakeshore Avenue, whatever it is that we do, we will impact a segment of our city. And whether you look at it and just say, oh, that's too bad, this is for the greater good, but I also think that we could do a better job incorporating and respecting the opinions and at least listening to, and I think that's, a lot of your angst came from you felt completely out of control. You didn't know what was happening. We didn't know what was happening. And I think that will probably happen again with some of our other projects. When we went through to get the Plexus parking lot, that was another issue that I don't think we did good enough communication with those residents. They were there first. And some of us have never been through something like that where a developer or something was coming into your neighborhood. I've been through it twice. I know exactly what it feels like. It's horrible. And you don't know what to expect. So the more communication we can do with residents, for example, with this new splash pad coming in, I don't want them to come and pile up into City Hall like this and say, wait a minute. We have, X amount of people coming through our streets and wandering, and we did not expect this. So I would like to start being more cognizant of the impact that we are having in these very specific, I'll call them developments. Thank you.
Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. I forgot to mention two other things. Directly across from my house is a Pokemon stop and a playground. So I do also have those things going on in my neighborhood as well, and they all are working together as well. That's it.
All right. With that, I will close the item number 7, Mayor Council consideration. Thank you all for coming. Item number 8 is a consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderman Stevenson moves, second by Alderman Lundrum to approve the consent agenda. Discussion? Seeing Alderman Erickson? Seeing no one, I would like to, all in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Item number B. So that is a whole consent agenda. Item number 9, report of standing committees and consideration thereof. The Special Public Services Safety Committee meeting, June 6, 2018. Chairperson Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Since this evening we had this meeting, the minutes are not yet on the website yet. The committee recommended to council to authorize dispute resolution under the boundary agreement with Town of Neenah regarding the extension of Shooting Star Drive, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Questions, discussion, comments? I just have one discussion or question. So Jim, we didn't ask. So what's like a time frame for this type of activity to occur?
Mediation would occur probably within 30 days, 30 to 45 days. If it doesn't result in a successful conclusion, the arbitration would probably take the remainder of the year.
Anyone else have any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
I'll move on to the May 29th meeting. The minutes for this can be found on the city website. Committee recommends council authorize the hiring of ABT Foundation Solutions to attempt to raise and stabilize the foundation of the Neenah Police Department building for a cost of $19,750 to be taken from account 013-2177-743-0236, and I would so move.
Motion by Alderman Bates. Second by Alderman Lenrum. Discussion? See no discussion. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council adopt resolution 2018-18, compliance maintenance annual report for sanitary sewer, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, second by Alderman Stevenson. Alderman Bates.
I would like to thank the staff for getting these reports that are required by the government together and presenting to us in a
somewhat easy to read.
Exactly. Yes, and we got an A.
Yep.
4.0.
Okay, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. Resolution number 2018-18 passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council approve the purchase of the 2019 F-250 Ford pickup, which is fleet number 22, with plow package from Bergstrom Ford Neenah for the low bid of $36,235.22, and I would so move.
Second.
There's motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Alderman Stevenson.
Just a comment that this purchase and the next two other ones will be funded with 2018 borrowed dollars. Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council approve the purchase of the F-550 truck, which is fleet number 15, with plow and salter package from Bergstrom Ford of Neenah for $83,329.30, and I would so move.
Motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Purchase this vehicle for the low bid. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of that motion, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, please. That motion passes 9-0.
The committee recommends council approve the purchase of the International Chassis Fleet Number 9 with the equipment package from Packer City International Trucks for the low bid of $171,198, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom to approve the purchase, the low bid from Packer City International Trucks for $171,198. Discussion, Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just ask the Director of Public Works to describe what a international chassis is for the people in the audience wondering, that's a big amount of money.
This, the unit in its entirety, I get to the right form here. This is the plow truck. Is that correct, Greg? Yeah. So this is a standard plow truck, just using the international chassis rather than other chassis that were options for the bidders to make.
Right. There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Is there any other discussion or questions? And then all of these will have appropriate sales of the sales or auctions or whatever. And that money will go in. All right.
General fund. Disconnected.
All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
The committee recommends council approve the purchase of 5 New Way Sidewinder bodies with Peterbilt chassis from Envirotech Equipment, Menominee Falls, for $254,323 each, for a total of $1,271,615 total. And I would so move.
Second.
Alderman Bates seconds. Alderman moves. Alderman Stevenson seconds. Approve the purchase of 5 new trucks. Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's important on this motion to recognize that there are no borrowed dollars identified to fund these, and that we would have to identify the equipment reserve fund of borrowed dollars to fund this expense, with the expectation that this fund would be reimbursed with at the time of our 2019 borrowing. So that should be included in
Good. All right. Thank you. Alderman Coons.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple questions. Jerry, first of all, what do you think the likelihood that we will get these on October 1st?
We have had discussions with the vendor on multiple occasions. Depending on action tonight, he would like to get the purchase rolling tomorrow. And he has assured us that he will have them there in the beginning of October.
And then so we have them, when do you think we're using them live and, affecting everybody?
Right now, we're targeting mid-October to
think that have that quickly
you could converted. Yes.
At the same time, what I don't see in the CIP budget, or I don't see, is the purchase of carts.
That was also in 19.
Yes.
So that purchase will be coming forward also.
So we'll be asking for another $1 million to be purchased and then pre-funded. And actually, I always complain about us having borrowed dollars, not using them right away. At least we're using them ahead of time. So I don't have a huge issue with that, but I just wanted to make sure that so that's in there as well. And Mike, you think that's from a accounting standpoint, we have no issue with taking on the additional $1 million?
No, we do not.
All right. And my concern being that if usually people are late, not early, when they're trying to build 5 things, and if they're late and we have, it's more complicated than we thought, and we haven't had this figured out, all of a sudden we're into November, and then we're around Thanksgiving time, and so I always worry about rushing this, and because it's a lot of change for a lot of people, including your department more so than any. You feel comfortable that we can do this, we can implement it, and timing's not an issue?
Yeah, we'll keep pressing forward on everything. So, certainly, 4 months from now, it's kind of our target. That's it's aggressive, but we think we can do it.
And this one last question to blow this thing out of the water a little bit, but you didn't go to the lowest bid, and I have no problem with that. There was different chassis selected. At some point, do you go, well, gee, if we would have got the other chassis, we'd get another 2-year life out of this? Or was there some calculation there, or you don't think it matters what chassis and the longevity of a vehicle?
Well, I guess Greg can comment on this. All of the proposals are reviewed by the superintendent, his assistant, and the fleet manager. So they're comparing all of those specifications that were listed out by the vendors on each of them.
And I totally support that. I don't want them to also go, oh, the council, they're not gonna go for that. We won't get the nicer one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that I don't think played into to any of the thoughts out here.
Then I'm happy with. I know you guys did a lot of work and a lot of due diligence, and I don't need you to go over that. For me, I feel comfortable with your decision. So thank you.
I have had some discussions with some people in Appleton and Menasha as far as the implementation, the drivers and things like that. And they said they pick it up pretty quick. How to utilize it, how to use it and things like that. So it didn't take as long as they thought we're going to. So that's positive too, I guess. Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. Just for the viewers, I want to clarify this is the garbage trucks that we are talking about.
This is the refuse trucks. And I'm not letting you make any more motions, because if you look, every single motion you made cost us more money. So right down the line. So you're done after this motion, okay? We can't afford you to make another motion tonight. Alderman Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. So my question is for Director Public Works. I would like to know, did we start out with 5 or was it 3 and then we needed a 4th one in case of a breakdown, or was it always 5? So many numbers tonight I can't recall.
We currently run 5. We ran through the computations on the collection rate that we can reasonably expect to achieve, at least initially. And as we ran those computations, that came out to needing 5 vehicles. Part of it being, with our current system, if we have a truck go down, we send out 1 or 2 of the rear load trucks that we have in fleet. We don't have that option with these trucks, so we need a spare in order to handle just regular routine maintenance cycling or any potential breakdowns that may occur.
Okay, and so again, we were always going to get 5.
That's correct.
Thank you.
My original proposal, though, one of my proposals looked at 4, correct, Jerry? And that was because there was some discussion about 4-day-a-week collection, things like that. So
longer hours.
You may have heard a different number, but I have since learned that that's probably maybe something in the future, and I have a commitment from the staff in that to continue to look at that maybe we could do this differently than we currently do. So there was a number, but I now believe that at least at the beginning we need 5.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Lundgren?
Thank you. This question is sort of about this motion, but how much were the carts budgeted for? What was it, like 50,000?
About 980,000, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, about $50 a piece. So $100 a property.
Oh my gosh, I was off a little bit, wasn't I? So,
just a little.
So this is not the entire cost right here. I just wanted to clarify that point.
That's correct.
Alderman Coons?
It's a clarifying question. So I assume with 5 trucks, what you're doing is picking up in 4 days with 1 spare.
No, we'll still have 5-day-a-week collection.
Ooh. Okay. Thanks.
No, as the mayor mentioned, clearly we see the benefit of being able to go to 4, especially when we have holiday collections. But right now, we're just not in a position where we feel that we're comfortable doing that.
Every time I see one of those trucks come by that take 2 people to pick up 1 item, it drives me crazy when they have the special pickups because you're busy, and so they pick up just recycling 2 people. But I understand.
Alderman Bates?
What's the expected length of service of these trucks?
We're thinking 8 years. That's what most of the vendors tell us and the contractors tell us to expect. We have been stretching the life on the trucks we've been using. And clearly the service on those trucks, the cost for that goes up considerably once we get past 8 years. So that's kind of what we're targeting.
So are we going to be able to do like we recommend for the police, like the one you've got kind of in reserve that we can...
I would like to get into a staggered purchase schedule down the line. We've had many discussions on phasing this, and obviously equipment purchase and the dollars involved played a role in some of those discussions. But yeah, I would like to stagger these down the line.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Good questions. All right. Alderman Bates moved. It was seconded by Stevenson to approve the purchase of the 5 new garbage trucks from Envirotech Equipment in Menominee Falls for $254,323 each. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
And luckily, that is the end of my report.
Thank you. There was no regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting. Special committees, regular Plan Commission Committee meeting, there was none. The Board of Public Works meeting of May 29th, 2018. Vice Chairperson Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. Minutes from this meeting can be found on the city website. There's one information item this evening. The board approved pay estimate number 1 for contract 3-18, Nature Trail Subdivision Street Construction to MCC Incorporated, Appleton, in the amount of $152,035.46. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. The Landmarks Commission report, Alderman Lane.
Thank you, Mayor. The Landmarks Commission did not meet in May. However, we were able to dedicate the first Powered Up Neenah's History in Art traffic signal box wrap on May 23rd. Thank you to all who attended that event. The box was sponsored by the Neenah Landmarks Commission and features some of Neenah's most well-recognized landmarks and some of the many well-known people of Neenah who've helped make our community a great place. Check out the box. It's on the corner of Wisconsin Avenue and Commercial Street, right in front of Associated Bank. The students who created the art for the box were able to attend the dedication ceremony and did a great job representing Neenah High School. The next box will be dedicated on July 19th at 6 p.m. at the Bazaar After Dark event on the near to the Bazaar After Dark event, which is taking place on South Commercial Street. The box will be on South Commercial and Cecil Streets and will feature a Neenah Police Department theme. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I'd like to publicly thank Jane Alderman Lane for her work on this. You know, a lot of work put into this, a lot of coordination with the school, and having the high school kids part of this. They really looked like they enjoyed it. They looked like they were excited. And the next class and that is eager to get going on the next one. So, and Jane did a lot of work, and it was really well done. And I can tell you now, as someone who drives by that corner 3-4 times a day, it's generating discussion. It's generating people stopping, viewing, looking. So it's kind of cool to see a simple thing like that generates a lot of good stuff. So thanks, Jane, for doing that. Sustainable Neenah Committee, Alderman Coons.
Thank you, Mayor. The Sustainable Neenah Committee met on June 4th. Several different items. We moved to continue our support of the farmers market as a sponsor. We have the ability to have a tent there, and which we have underutilized. And part of the discussion is looking at that and expand that to different departments. If say Public Works wants to show off their shiny new bins and talk about different ways of refuge as an opportunity there, where the water department wants to talk about water quality. There's a bunch of different topics that might play in well, particularly with at the farmers market. So there's an opportunity there. I know Carol's going to follow up with some department heads on that. That's one item. We have an update on a few items. We have a tree program, which is a new program for us, trying to sponsor some trees. We had a seminar at the library through the UW Extension talking about tree planting and trees, and we sponsored 30 cherry trees, which we are giving out to people who attended as a trial to see if we can promote trees, in particular different types of trees on private property. And then finally, we also had an update, although I'll have a better update coming up with our container garden program, which we've also sponsored through UW Extension, supporting Ascend, which is part of housing partnership here in Neenah. Youth who have some experiencing mental health issues We supply, again, with the UW Extension, they are training at their master gardeners, are doing 3 different programs. I think they've just done the second one. We're supplying the containers to pots to plants for that program. So another pilot program for us, trying to extend the reach of sustainability to different groups and with different partnerships. So I will have more information on that. You maybe even bring in a tomato that they've grown. So we're trying to do some things there, and I will bring more information as that comes. So thank you.
Thank you for your report. Business Improvement District Board, the bid board, Alderman Lake.
Thank you, Mayor. The May bid board meeting was held on May 15th. There are a few items to report. The Recruitment and Retention Committee and the PR and Marketing Committee will work together on a marketing packet for the downtown. The board also discussed creating future traffic box wraps and how best to support that effort. Keller Williams Realty completed a volunteer downtown cleanup in which 50 to 70 people participated, so thank you to them for their efforts at spring cleaning the downtown. Future Neenah's event season starts in June with summer concerts and the farm market, which starts on June 16th. I believe the first lunch concert is tomorrow. Additionally, the Neenah Historical Society and the Neenah Parks and Rec Departments discovered Neenah Downtown Family Day is being held on June 16th from 11 to 1 with free narrated wagon rides, a downtown scavenger hunt, and a chance to win an awesome prize in that. Games, paper making, tours of the Octagon House, and more will make this a really great family event. So come downtown for that on June 16th from 11 to 1. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Berkshire Mahler Museum, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The 44th Annual Berkshire Mahler Museum of Glass Art Festival will be held on Sunday, July 15th from 10 to 4 p.m. And I encourage everyone here to sign up and volunteer at this fun-filled event. You can go on the Berkshire Mahler Museum of Glass website and sign up for 2-hour time slots. If you choose to do more than that, that would be great. There's a lot of, you can work in the youth tent, you can work in setup and takedown. There are just a variety of different things that you could do to help this event, which is a very popular event for the city. So I encourage you to do that. Also visit the Berkshire Mahler Museum of Glass website for classes and other items that are going on at the museum. And that concludes my report.
And lastly, the Neenah Arts Council, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you. The Neenah Arts Council met in May at the Valley Academy of Arts. And one of the things that is coming up is the Bazaar After Dark, which is July 19th from 5 to 9. And that will be located, Nikki Hessel from Pulse was at our meeting, and we talked about how that event will work. And that will be held on South Commercial Street from Wright Avenue, I believe, to Alcott. So mark that date for your calendar. It's a very popular event. And there is also a sign up for volunteers on the Pulse, the Fox Cities Chamber of Commerce website under Pulse. You can sign up to volunteer for that event as well. And that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you for that report. There are no petitions. Any council directives anyone would like to talk about? Any unfinished business? Any new business? New business, I just want to ask anyone if, I think I heard just about from everyone. There might have been 1 or 2 people I haven't heard from with regards to the suggestion that I had made to not have a meeting on June 20th. Or let me take a step back. Have the normal committee meetings on June 11th and June 12th, and then move the council meeting from June 20th to June 27th, and then not have a council meeting on July 4th, of course, which is Independence Day. So we would meet, our next regularly scheduled meeting would be on June 27th. And if that's okay with anyone, if everyone, we're going to schedule that tomorrow.
Only if we have business.
We would, only if business would warrant it, and we're talking about if we do need committee meetings on the 25th or 26th for something, we might do it on one night instead of 2. So, but that depends upon agendas. Okay? But we will do that. And then any other announcements or questions? I've got a couple, but Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take a second and promote the this year's Neenah Menasha Local 275 Firefighters Annual Backdraft Bike Tour that takes a place on Sunday, June 10th. It's going to be held out of Clovis Grove, starting at Clovis Grove School this year, as opposed to Jefferson Park in Menasha. This bike draft, charity bike draft tour is ran, sponsored, promoted, worked on, executed all by our local union firefighters who work for Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue. The benefactors of this are the union's charitable foundation, specifically their support of the Wisconsin Charitable Foundation Summer Camp. If you ever had a chance to see those kids, it's really a neat thing. So if it's a family-friendly thing, there's no start time or finish time. It's not a race. Registration starts at 6 o'clock on Sunday at Clovis Grove. The 75 and 100-mile routes are targeted to start at 7 o'clock, but you can start early, you can start late. There's a 50-mile route that's targeted for 8 o'clock, and the 10-mile and 25-mile routes start at 9 o'clock. The 10-mile route will have its rest stop at the Octagon House. So Jane and her team over there is supporting that. I've worked and volunteered there in the past. The 25-mile riders will be having their rest stop at the Fire Station 31 on Breezewood. So I invite everyone to come on out, bring their kids. There's all kinds of different rates for families and whatnot. It's just a great event, and I recommend if you have a chance to do it, it would be much appreciated by our firefighters.
Thank you, Todd. Todd's been involved in that one for a long time. You didn't get down to like the 5-mile route for me. You didn't get down far enough. 10 miles is the smallest, so...
you could ride to Clovis Grove on your bike and help register.
Okay. All right, thank you. So a couple things I just wanted to for the audience, and that we had 2 retirements. I mentioned one earlier. Chief Wilkinson is now retired from the city of Neenah after 9 years, and we thank him for his service. Another retirement that happened just recently, and many of you came to, Lori Olson, our recreation supervisor in the Park and Recreation Department, has retired, and we wish Lori the best in her retirement. Lori gave over 30 years to the city of Neenah, so we thank her for that. Street balls this weekend. Street ball is now run by a private organization, but it is downtown this weekend, so if you're looking for something to do, stop downtown Neenah for street ball. I want to publicly thank the Neenah Rotary Club. I think everyone here probably knows, but the Neenah Rotary Club, there's 2 clubs as I understand it, and part of the international charge this year was the international president for the Rotary was challenging all the clubs across America to plant 1 tree per member throughout the nation. The Neenah Rotary approached us, the 2 clubs, and offered to plant trees in the city of Neenah. The one Rotary Club planted approximately 60 trees, and the other club, I believe it was about 32 trees, if I'm not mistaken. Pardon?
Actually, it was the same clubs, and we just did both days planting at Carpenter. And
So it was almost 90 trees at approximately about $120 a tree. So there was a big financial commitment by the Neenah Rotary Club, and also they spent the day with gloves on and actually planting the trees. So the new park at the end of Castle Oak and Carpenter preserving that got a whole bunch of new trees thanks to the Rotary Clubs. Once again, they stepped up to the plate, and so I want to say thank you very much to the Rotary Clubs. The cut and run, we won't be meeting now that we've decided to have the event, the next council meeting on the 27th, but the cut and run, the grand opening for the Loop the Lake project for the Trestle Trail in the Loop the Lake will be held June 23rd at 9 a.m. There will be some commentary behind Plexus in Arrowhead Park. There will be some comments by some dignitaries. Secretary Klett, from the Wisconsin Department of Tourism will be there. And if you see Secretary Klett, she's a lot of fun, and she's looking forward to coming up. We also have extended an invitation to Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish. We have not heard from her yet, but make sure you mark your calendars for that day. And lastly, welcome to Adam here, our new Assistant City Attorney. We appreciate you being here tonight, and welcome on board. So thank you. So a lot of things going on in Neenah. The pool's open. June 2nd, the pool started. So just a lot of things going on. It was mentioned the concerts start tomorrow, and so it's going to be a fun summer here in Neenah. Todd?
Yeah, just one last thing. I think I failed to mention that you can find information about the Backdraft bike tour on the city website under the fire department site.
Anyone else have anything? All right. Is there a motion?
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Boyette, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. To adjourn. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you all very, very much.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin, Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.